So in all my 20 plus years of coming to war zones, I think perhaps this is one of the weirdest things I have ever seen. Одно, пожалуйста. This restaurant is a fish restaurant in the town in which I'm staying, Lviv. And they are still getting shipments of oysters from Odessa. It's an indication that while war ravages on, some things oddly stay the same. Now they're offering this free to people fleeing war in the West. They've also got some lovely fish soup here. Можно, да, пожалуйста. I have not tried it, but it smells delicious. Дякую. So these are oysters straight from the Black Sea in Odessa, which is currently preparing potentially to be attacked. But here in Lviv, oysters for the refugees. Очень вкусный. Спасибо. И тоже для супа. До завтра. So let me tell you a little bit about this town that I'm staying in. It's called Lviv. There's been a human settlement here for at least 1,000 years. Officially, the city was founded in 1256 by King Daniel of Galicia. This is here in the central square, a little topographical map of Lviv. Of course, now normally in winter, this town would not be nearly as crowded. It's really a tourist town. It's famous for its beer. As you can see probably over there on the corner, there is a theater of beers, the beer theater. Lvivsky Piva is widely renowned. Sadly, of course, in this current time, you see the statuary in the town square here being covered up, just in case. Normally, this town has about 700,000 inhabitants. It has swelled by many thousands of people running from the west, coming here to this beautiful little tourist town near the Polish border. And this town has been held by the Poles, it's been held by Germans, Austro-Hungarians, Russians, of course, but always with its own sense of self-identity. As I mentioned in my previous blog, this part of Europe is struck in a kind of borderland situation. The etymology of Ukraine is an Old Slavic language, meaning on the border. U being on, and kren being border or shelf. The exact translation is debatable. It's a beautiful town. It's a wonderful place. I've been here many times, and it's artistic. Normally there would be, in the evenings, in the summer, musicians on street corners playing beautiful music. Today, it's a lot different, sadly. There's a sense of foreboding, but there's also a sense of unity and a desire to keep some sense of normality. Children still playing on wooden horses with their parents. And I love this town, I do. It's great. I come here on vacation. But it's gotten to the point where it's almost bursting at the seams, and there is a sense within the authorities here of suspicion of potential infiltrators mixing amongst the refugees. And when I arrived here, I checked into my apartment that I had rented via Airbnb, and almost within an hour I had a knock on my door. 3 police officers, well-armed police officers, just coming to check. Who is this foreigner? Why is he here? What's his intent? Clearly a neighbor had heard me speaking English and was concerned. Once they checked my ID and saw my press pass, took my documentation down, copied it with their phones, they realized I was a journalist, and they moved on. We do occasionally get air raid sirens. That adds to the anxiety. When I was first here for the first few days, it was quite disconcerting. And I think the city leaders have kind of toned that down a bit. I got the impression when I was first here the first few days that anything that was in the air on a flight path even remotely headed towards this town caused air raid sirens to go off. But it was, I think, causing an awful lot of stress on people here. And of course a lot of them are coming from places that were actively bombed and have been in the conflict that is hundreds of miles away from here. So they additionally traumatized hearing the air raid sirens. This is a center for kind of the Western-leaning Ukrainians. This is one of the birthplaces of the movement to get closer to the EU. They are very much European-leaning here. And as you can see by the architecture, it is almost as if you're in, I don't know, Prague, Bratislava, or something like that. This is one of my favorite places in this town. Sadly, it's closed. Lviv is famous for beer, but it's also famous for a cherry liqueur, Piyany Vishya. And it is made from cherries, and it is absolutely delicious, and you should try it sometime. But unfortunately, given the circumstances, city authorities, actually authorities throughout the country, have banned the sale of alcohol. Sensible thing to do. But nevertheless, I do wish I could have a sip of that cherry liqueur. So, heading up to the church here along the tram railway. I'm going to come up to a little place here and then we'll stop. But Lviv is probably the last redoubt. Should Kiev fall, it is expected this is where the government will fall back to. War has not come here. Even the Germans, my landlady told me, did not bomb this beautiful town in their invasion of Ukraine back in World War II. The possibility of the Russians bombing it is an almost personal insult to her, she said. So, it's a special place. It is unlike a lot of towns in Ukraine, but in many ways very much the same. There are a lot of things that are respected about this place. There's a deep artistic history here, and clearly you can see the beauty of the architecture here. The press has set up shop here. We're going to walk up here, and I'm not going to show it just for security measures, although I'm sure pretty much if there are, infiltrators here, they're well aware of everything. We're well aware of where the press center is, but it's right around the corner here. You know, people have asked me, what is this division that you speak of between the Ukrainians and the Russians? And I think there is a division, but there's also an awful lot of influence in Russian art that comes from Ukraine. You know, the Russians like to claim people like Mikhail Bulgakov or Pushkin or Chekhov. All of them have spent at least part of their lives in this country because there is a real deep sense of bohemian art and artistry here. So it's a special place. If war does come here, I've been told by many that they'll fight for it. And yes, indeed, if it is destroyed, and if worse comes to worse, there is damage to this ancient historical city. And there's the tram. If there is damage to this ancient historical city, well, the Ukrainians have told me we can rebuild houses, we can rebuild monuments, we can even rebuild these beautiful old buildings. But first we have to get rid of the occupiers. They're willing to sacrifice an awful lot, these Ukrainians. And that makes me even more proud to be here today. I'm going to finish this here at this little touristy tram that in better days would be a place where you'd buy your tickets to take a tour of the town. I'm going to finish my fish soup. I'll try to keep doing these as much as I possibly can. And I hope that you send me any questions that you may have. I'm here in Ukraine for that purpose, to let you guys know what it is about this country that's so special to me and why I think it is worth fighting for and worth defending. They've asked for a lot of help from us, and they're a little angry about what they see a lack of support. They'd like a no-fly zone. They'd like more weaponry. They'd like more advanced weaponry. I've heard that from many officers and just common Ukrainians. Sadly, that might lead to a wider conflict. And so they're torn. They understand it. But they also want to defend their country, and they want to see an uptick in what the West is doing. At this point, all I can say to anybody who watches this is support Ukraine as you can. Find a reputable aid group. I will try and put some links in the bottom here of this vlog. But do what you can, please, for Ukraine, because this is the borderland between empires. This is the split in Europe between the East and the West. And if Putin takes this place, there will be an undue sense of pressure on Western Europe from the enormous Russian bear that exists to its east. I don't think that's going to happen. At least I hope not. But I see a bright future for this country, and I hope to at least shine a little bit of light on it so that you can understand why it is I'm here and why it is these people are fighting so hard. So as I close this out, I think I will make a tradition of doing this. I will say the saying that is so commonly said here. Slava Ukrainie, Geroyam Slava. Glory to Ukraine, glory to the heroes. Okay, just as a quick addendum to the end of this little vlog here, I'm going to try and keep these within 10 or 15 minutes so I don't go too long. But I wanted to add this one other thing, and I couldn't do it in the stroll I was doing along that square. So normally, most of the license plates you would see in Lviv would have a license plate, I believe, as BA. But given the circumstances, what we're seeing here now is license plates from all around Ukraine, all different. You see there's a BC right there. Here we have a BH. And then we have AC and AA. All these different license plates, which indicates to me a lot of people are coming from around the country coming here. It just adds to this sense that this city, which normally has about 700,000 people, as I mentioned, is now burgeoned into this enormous kind of city crammed with people fleeing from the fighting. To end it on a happier note, and another reason why I love this city so much is this little monument here, and I'll see if I can get this to flip around on it here. So this is a monument to the great Ukrainian Galician, the hero of Vienna defense of 1683, who, and I love this, taught Europe to drink coffee. Yuri Franz Kulczewski. And there's the man himself. And just to prove a point, right there in his hands, bringing it to Europe, coffee. Which, given the amount of work I'm doing these days and the lack of sleep that I have, is most welcome. I'll try and do another one of these tomorrow. Still stand by what I say. I'll try to put links in the bottom. Please try and help Ukraine. Slava Ukraini.